Welcome back to the C-Space studio, live from CES 2022 in Las Vegas. I am James Kotecki, and here with us is Wayne Kimmel, Managing Partner, 76 Capital. Thanks for joining us.
James, thanks so much for having me. This is really an honor and just so much fun to be here.
Well, thanks. I hope you continue to have fun, because a little bit later on, you're going to be moderating a panel, and I believe it's on sports on the bleeding edge. What does the bleeding edge mean to you?
Well, look, to me, it's everything that we do and invest in at 76 Capital. I mean, we're all about investing in the entrepreneurs who are truly doing the next thing in the sports industry. And that's what's so much fun about being here. And then at the same time, meeting and getting the opportunity to interview some of the top companies, like, you know, the team that's building and running the Allegiant Stadium, WWE, Athletes Unlimited, what they're doing there and how they're actually pushing the limits and doing the next thing in sports. It's incredible to see even the big companies doing those types of things as well.
Some of the names you mentioned also going to be here in the C-Space studio, and we're looking forward to that. But we want to get the story from you. So, give me a sense of some of the themes and trends that you see driving the world of sports right now. I guess I'm just asking, you're an investor, you invest in sports technology. What's on your mind?
You know, look, for us, it always starts with the entrepreneur who's really looking and thinking about and how they're pushing the limits and trying to do the next thing when it comes to sports. So whether that's in the world of sports betting, and oh man, it's been unbelievable since May of 2018, the types of new companies and innovations that have come out so far, but wait till you see what's going to happen here in 2022. It's even going to be more exciting. So that's those types of things. What's happening in esports, what's happening just in the traditional world of sports tech. I shouldn't even call it traditional, because what's happening now is amazing.
So let's talk about sports betting. Let's start there. I mean, you're teasing some pretty cool things. Can you tell us about any of the things that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, we've been really fortunate at 76 Capital. We've made some incredible investments in great entrepreneurs who built amazing businesses. So we were the investors behind VSiN, the sports betting network that was started by Brian Musburger, Bill Adee, as well as the legendary sports broadcaster Brent Musburger. And we sold that company last year to DraftKings, which was pretty amazing, right? And similar kind of situation where we sold a company called Victory to Fubo TV, and the things that Fubo TV is doing in this world of kind of really pushing the next thing when it comes to broadcasting and sports betting. It's awesome to see. So this year, as we start to move forward, a number of our portfolio companies are doing some special things in the sports betting space, really looking to take the whole industry forward.
And is that going to be, are you looking at ways to bring new people into sports betting that wouldn't otherwise do it or wouldn't otherwise participate? Is that kind of the main opportunity here, or at least one of them?
Well, I think that's definitely one of the opportunities, really to explain and share and kind of take away some of the minus 120 and over and under and all this other stuff that a lot of times is a little confusing. But at the same time, this is a very, very serious, regulated market, where there's 33 states across the U.S. today that have now approved, and have sports betting, plus the District of Columbia, right? So each one of these states, it's very, very important to make sure that you take this very seriously, that you deal with the regulations and the regulators themselves, and all the compliance issues that go across all this. So that's another really interesting opportunity where we're investors in companies like U.S. Integrity and Odds-On Compliance to really make sure that everything is on the up and up.
And as an investor, do you like to be in a regulated space like that? Because it means that there's a bit of a moat perhaps around what you're doing, and that if people can get a toehold in there, then they actually are doing it properly.
Well, for us, it's not a problem. I mean, we are licensed in many states across the country, and we're okay with doing that. I know the number of other venture capitalists and other investors are not interested in those types of markets. We are, and we think it's important to be involved, and we're really excited to back the entrepreneurs who are doing those things in those industries.
Let's switch over to esports. Another exciting trend that you mentioned is happening. It doesn't even really make sense to call it a trend, right? It's just a massive juggernaut. So tell me about what's happening with that in your world.
Well, look, I think the one thing about esports that we love at 76 Capital more than anything else is really a lot of the in-person events. I mean, that's one of the things that we've missed so much because of COVID. Now, hopefully in 2022, we're going to start to get back to some of that later this year. Because I think that's really where you're able to just get to see the passion of the players themselves, the fans who are players as well, right? I mean, there's so much happening there, and that's where one of our portfolio companies, Nerd Street Gamers, is one of the leaders across the esports industry on doing and running events online, but also incredible offline events and all the different facilities that we have all across the U.S.
Fan engagement is obviously a really big part of that, right? And so, how do you look at measuring fan engagement and boosting fan engagement in a situation like that?
Yeah, I think that's a really critical point. I mean, that's the one thing that sports has really been able to do, is really get people off the couch, get people kind of really fired up to want to go do something. And that's what's so cool about what's happening. And that's why it's really awesome to be here at CES, because what's happening, and this is, in being in the venture capital business now for over 23 years, and seeing the convergence of tech, entrepreneurship, and sports all coming together. Yeah. This is the year. Like, this is the time when all those things are happening, and that ties back into everything that's going on, and that's the part that's just so exciting, because all these new innovations from all the major tech companies and the entrepreneurial businesses, now they see this amazing opportunity in this trillion-dollar sports industry.
Is this, you seem super jazzed about this, by the way, you seem super excited. Is this what, you mentioned that you've been doing this for 20 plus years. Is this what you predicted was going to happen? Is this what you hoped but didn't dare say out loud was going to happen? Like, how much of your wildest dreams are being accomplished here?
Well, look, I mean, for the last 5 years, when my partners and I, we went solely into investing in sports-focused companies that were using technology. This is what we talked about. This is what we've been preaching. This is what we've been saying, telling everybody that the future's coming. I mean, my partner, Chad Stender, I love his line where he talks about all the time, where there will never be another dumb ball or bat or stick. Everything's going to be smart moving forward. And that realization, that's coming to life now. Companies like Diamond Kinetics, our baseball technology and softball company, unbelievable what they're doing around baseball tech and softball tech. It's amazing to see that. Companies like Shot Tracker around basketball. I mean, what's happening now, and the new types of camera systems and personalization, I mean, those kind of things, and we haven't even gotten into Web3 or NFTs or virtual reality or augmented reality. I mean, all that's coming to the world of sports, and this is the time, and this is the one thing that my partners and I have been talking about for a while, and we're so excited it's all coming to reality right now.
So many of those themes that we are talking about right here in the C-Space studio with you and other guests. I am curious, do you think all of this technology changes the way that people start to learn sports, even kids, from a young age? Because, at the bottom of all this technology, all these layers, there is a person hitting a ball with a stick, right? Maybe a smart stick, but there is a physical action that's happening in some kind of sport. Kids have to learn that. How is this technology changing what it means to grow up with sports?
Well, that's what's the coolest thing, and that's one of the, I mentioned Diamond Kinetics earlier. I mean, like, that's one of the coolest things ever, where you have young baseball and softball players who are getting the same kinds of data and information, and being able to analyze and look at it and learn and from whether that's their parents or their coach, just like a major leaguer. So the major leaguer who goes in, to behind the, he's in the dugout and goes behind and watches the video of his last swing and all that. Now that young girl who's playing softball can do the exact same thing after she takes that swing and hits a home run or strikes out or whatever happens, but can then go back and look at her iPhone and say, wait a second, wow, I know what I did wrong. Next time I'm going to do it better.
Right. Do you think so many cool things to talk about with that. Do you think it changes like how the balance between physicality and kind of mental toughness works as far as how athletes are developed? I guess I'm just imagining in the olden days, before all this technology, some tough guy could get out there and they could use their bodies in ways that could get them a physical advantage. Now, does the advantage go to players who have the mental savvy? Yeah, they're going to be able to push themselves to a certain physical level, but the mental savvy to be able to do better analytics, take better information, better learning. I guess what I'm asking is, does this change what it means to be athletic?
Well, I think, James, you're describing something that we are huge believers in across, at 76 Capital. It's this convergence of the physical and digital worlds. That's what it's all about, right? It's all about that, because, look, we're not just, we've certainly proven, I think now with this global pandemic, where we want to get out. Like, there's only so much you can do in your bedroom or your basement, right? You need to get out there. You want to be with other people. You want to be able to play. You want to be able to interact with others. And that's where these where the digital world and the physical world come together. That's where being really smart about where you're standing, where you're positioned, how you make a certain move. And those are the things that you're able to now really break down to the smallest of levels. I mean, like our company Shot Tracker, we track over 110 movements a second that a basketball player makes on the court. So you could take all of that data and then learn from that. But that's as a player, that's as a coach. You can then use that as a broadcaster. But wow, all that data, and analyze all that and use that in the world of sports betting, and take all of that data and crunch all that information. You can really use that information for your benefit in the future.
Wayne Kimmel, 76 Capital. I'm so glad you came by the C-Space studio.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. This has been a blast.
Too short, but we got to go on to the next conversation. And that's right, more conversations are right on the way. I'm James Kotecki, your host here in the C-Space studio, live at CES 2022. Keep it here.